Well, it's 6:30, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I realize that there might be some people that are still coming in, but I do want to make sure to respect everyone's time who is here. As I get started, I just want to do a quick sound check. Can everybody hear me okay? And can everybody see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's good then. This time I'd like you to please mute your microphones now and then unmute it anytime you want to share or you have thoughts or questions. Just muting your microphone helps cut down on the background noise, and you can always use the chat box as well. I prefer you guys talk, but it's up to you what you feel most comfortable with. I will be sharing your questions and answers to the rest of the class. Cannot make it tonight because the recording might not be able to show the little chat box for everyone to see. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second live session module. This is kind of the overview that we are going to have for tonight. We will start out with reminders and important dates. We'll have welcome and introductions. I'll have time to check in. I'm going to do locating the resource tab, APA formatting in regards to the cover page, then importance of play, reviewing what we have learned from the last module, reflection, critical questions from Chapter 7, nurturing relationships, and questions answer time will be the very last thing. As always, if you guys have questions within during any of the PowerPoints, I usually ask if you guys have questions, and you guys will have time to ask them, and I get to answer them. If I don't answer your question for some reason tonight, I will get back to you as soon as possible, probably by tonight if it has something to do related to rubrics and stuff that I can't see right now. All right. So reminders and important dates. So I just want to make sure that you guys just review the course calendar. The assignment dates are due by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time every Sunday. Initial discussion posts are due by 11:59 every Tuesday, which is today. And then discussion responses to peers are due by 11:59 p.m. every Saturday. We will have our third and final live session next Tuesday, June 4th at the same time, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to work on your journal this week. It is due next week in Module 5, but you should be writing one journal entry each week. This week's area focus is how educators impact positive self-esteem. Does anybody have any questions? All right, hearing and seeing that there's no questions, I'm going to keep going. Welcome and introductions. Seems like we have a pretty big class tonight. So I just want to share a little bit about myself, and I want to hear about a little bit about each of you guys. So my name, as you all know, is Mike. I live in Colorado. I've worked for the public and private sectors as a teacher and director for the last going on 12 years now. And I've worked in the public schools. I am currently an education supervisor for Adams County Head Start program in Denver Metro. The picture that you see was from about 6 or 7 years ago.
Bye, Nathan.
It's a little old and outdated.
See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Can you please unmute your microphone? Thank you. And then unmute it just so it cuts down on the background noise. as I was saying, so yeah, the picture that you've seen was from 2 summers ago. We were at Disneyland in California, and that is one of my favorite places to visit because of the beach, calming and peaceful. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm gonna open it up to everyone else. I'd like you guys to participate, share your name, where you reside, and your favorite place you visited, and why. If you are viewing this recording, you will have to answer the same questions as your peers have to do in the live session. So, yeah, I would like to hear from everyone else.
I'll go. All right, my name is Catherine Northam, and I currently live in the state of Vermont. And my favorite place that I've ever visited would have to be the Statue of Liberty. And why? Because when I visited the Statue of Liberty, it was quite a long time ago. It was before they shut down being able to go into the crown of Statue of Liberty, and I was able to actually do that. So I thought that that was kind of cool.
Nice. When did they shut that down?
You know, I can't really recall when, but I do remember that I was 13 when I went, and I'm 51 now.
Don't know what's going on here. Well, thank you for sharing, Catherine.
I guess I'll go. My name's Lindsay. I'm from Iowa, and my favorite place I ever visited, I think I was probably around 12 or 13. We went through caves in Missouri. It was just, I've always loved nature. We do a lot of outdoorsy stuff now with my family. So it was just really interesting to go, and it's just so different than a forest or a beach. I mean, it's sort of like a different world. So.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Lindsay.
I'm Megan. I currently live in Minnesota, and my favorite place is would be when my husband and I took our sweetheart vacation down to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I am originally from Alabama, and my husband's up from Minnesota, so it's kind of, the way I see Tennessee is if the South and the North had a baby, it would be Tennessee. It's got the mountains, but it's got the humidity. It's kind of got a little bit of everything for the both of us, and it's a place where we both kind of fell in love.
Nice. Thank you, Megan, and welcome.
Natasha, and I live in Illinois, and my favorite place right now is Taylorville because they have an ATV park, and we like to go riding a lot.
Thanks for sharing.
I'll go. My name is Diana. I'm from Ohio. My favorite place I visited was Myrtle Beach, and because that was the only place I visited as an adult.
Ooh, Diana, where do you currently reside in Ohio?
Currently, I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, I heard that there was tornadoes that ripped through there. Was it last night?
Yes, there were 3 that touched down last night.
Wow, we had a few here in Colorado, but there wasn't any that touched down. And it's funny that I say that because I am actually flying out to where is it? Canton, Ohio. In a couple of weeks, I'm running a 100K ultra marathon.
Nice. I hope the tornadoes are like well and gone. Like the sirens literally went off and up until 6:30 a.m. this morning with pouring rain.
Ugh. Yeah, it seems like it rains all the time there.
Yeah.
Fun.
Hello.
Anyone else?
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
This is Shamila.
Hi, Shamila.
So I'm in Washington State. I'm working at a child care center as a phonics teacher right now, and I'm working towards my degree. But I kind of had lost your volume for a while, so I don't know what the question is. I'm just reading this. It says welcome introductions.
Yeah, so just basically you pretty much said everything except for your name, state, and then where's your favorite place that you visited and why?
Oh goodness. I think about that. Well, I did go overseas as a 10-year-old child. I went to London and I had a really good time. I got to visit some new family members that I hadn't seen before, so I think that would stand out in my life as something.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I have never been overseas.
I got to take that trip with my grandparents and visit some of my grandmother's side of the family and get to meet some new cousins, which I'm in touch with right now to this day, and we see each other a lot. So made some connections that are lifelong.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing, Shamila. And welcome everybody. Thanks for participating. I'm going to keep going since we have a lot to cover. So how's class going so far? Any reactions from week 4? Are you guys reading the announcements each week and using the scoring rubrics? And how are you guys doing with APA formatting? A little later on in, I think right after this, we'll take a look a little bit about locating the resource tab. You guys have an idea of where it is if you guys haven't found it yet. So just want to open it up to participation. How are things going, guys? I want to hear from you.
I guess so far things are going pretty well. I like that it's fast-paced, but it's still manageable. My biggest struggle is still probably the APA formatting. It's been about a decade since I've been in school, so it's kind of hard to relearn all that, but there's a lot of resources available, so I think I'm picking it up. I'm sure I'll get it.
Well, you're in luck, Lindsay, just because tonight we will go over APA formatting and well, where you could find it. But I think a lot of you guys have, not all of you, but some of you have done the correct APA formatting. Basically, what I'm just looking for, and I'll talk a little bit more later about it, is just a cover page and what needs to be on your guys' cover page. So. But basically, yeah, it's, guys, most of you guys are nailing it down. Anyone else?
I'll go again. I think the classes are going good so far. Trying to maintain them, but sometimes I fall asleep in the middle of typing a paper and forget to submit it. But I'm working on that. I am reading the announcements, and I'm making myself available to do the live sessions because they are very helpful. As far as like APA formatting, I couldn't remember how to do it, but Word document has like a template, and I just follow the template.
Nice. And like I said, you are in luck, because I am going to go over that for you guys, so you guys, well, there's really no confusion about it. It's actually, once you do it a few times, it's pretty simple. Anything else? All right, hearing and seeing that there is no other comments about checking in, I'm going to keep going. Thank you, ladies, for participating. So, locating the resource tab. So how do I get to the resource tab? I kind of made well, I don't know if it's a simple guide, but hopefully you guys could look at this. So it's somewhat simple. I have decided to do a visual for your reference just in case you're still trying to navigate through the Blackboard. So here is how to locate the tab. So first, you want to click on your class, and then in the top right of the page, it will say your resources. You want to click on that. When you click on that, it brings you to a page that looks like this. The very next thing you want to do, so once you've clicked the tab, a page like this will show up, and then I did provide this visual so y'all can navigate and find the APA formatting, and so there's other resources that Rasmussen College has to offer, such as tutoring platform and library resources. It's just a good place for you to go. But if you take a look at the arrow, you see APA format, the APA guide, and the template there. Once you click on that, you'll get to a page that looks like this. A new window will open up that provides you with all the tools that you'll need to follow the correct APA formatting. One particular helpful resource is the APA template that you can type your assignment directly into and simply change the titles and personal information. That's the easiest thing you could possibly do. So yeah, I just wanted to touch base a little bit about that. And then it kind of goes hand in hand with APA formatting a title page. So I know in last week's writing assignment, some of you were missing pretty easy points on your writing assignments just because you didn't have a separate cover page, or you were missing some specific components to the cover page. APA format requires you to have a separate cover page that includes the following in order. I wanted to show you an example so none of you will miss any easy points going forward, and even in your future classes that have APA title page formatting. So basically, it just needs a title, the title of whatever you're doing in Module 4 writing assignment, your name, the college, and then at the bottom of the title page, you want to put in the author's note. So basically, it needs to look exactly like this. Just make sure that when you are submitting it that you change that this paper is to be submitted on whatever date for Michael Hager's EEC 1970 course. You do that, you're going to get full credit on the APA format title page. So yeah, it's pretty easy for the most part. And if you guys forget of how to actually do that, this recording will be posted tomorrow for your reference, so you can go back and look at it. Do you guys have any questions?
I feel like everything I was missing was the cover page, so is it too late to submit those?
Yeah, unfortunately. But just so you know, this is a good reference for you. A lot of times it's trial and error, and you know, if you don't know how to do something prior to submitting it, just reach out to me, and I could hopefully walk you step by step of how to actually do it. Any other questions? All right, here you see that there's no other questions. I am going to continue on. The importance of play. So what factors would make play less enjoyable, more enjoyable? So we were talking a little bit about play, and one of the factors that might make play less enjoyable is correcting somebody's child's work, or when adults in the environment are not available to scaffold peer conflicts and interactions, or when children are not offered authentic learning material that can be applied to their experiences, and always saying no and giving no reason behind it. So a lot of times I see teachers who work in our center that will say no, but don't actually offer a reason. I shouldn't say teachers, a lot of teacher assistants that will say no, but they don't offer and elaborate on why they can't play somewhere. This is kind of an overview of last week's module. We're just reviewing the importance of play. So yes, play should be enjoyable, open-ended, free, meaningful, timely, and involved. You know, one of the things I do stress, you probably thought a lot in the discussion, is interactions between teacher and child. I really think that is huge in making the child think critically and expand on their vocabulary by having those back and forth exchanges with the child. So yeah, that's a little bit about the importance of play. Now talking about that and thinking about that, oh boy, uh-oh, I don't know what happened. So I guess my question for you is, what factors restrict play and why?
Should I go first?
Yeah, go ahead. Anybody could go first.
I think the factors that would hinder play when children are playing is any involvement from an adult that is giving directions to them. Just like what you said before, the importance of enjoyable, open-ended, just that first slide you had. If it's not open-ended and we're giving instructions, it kind of stops them right in their tracks for what they were actually thinking of doing. So they're not going to explore any further. It's going to stop right there, and they're just going to be like, all right, I can't do this any longer because she's watching me and he may not like that. So now that exploration part of the play is going to be stopped right there for them. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it's not really innovative. It's
no,
not at all.
But now it's directional.
Yes, I feel like that. A lot of times teachers are, not all teachers, but teachers are quick of saying no you can't do this. And I always try to say, you know, think about how many times you say no in one day to a child.
Yeah.
Instead of saying no, you know, try to use some kind of verbiage of what can we do instead of no. Because, you know, that just, when anybody tells me no, it's just like, oh, okay, you're telling me no, but why? Can you explain? And I think, you know, like adults, children want to hear the same thing, even at that age.
I think sometimes teachers do say no or say, oh, stop because of safety reasons, but you're right, it could be worded in a different way, you know, please don't do that, that may fall on you, or something specific to what might happen to them so they actually understand.
Yes, yes. I mean, you could tell them that is not safe and explain why that is not safe. Yeah. And sometimes it's really, really hard when you have like 14 other children in the classroom that you have to manage. But I think that, you know, it's a practice that, you know, I feel like teachers need to look at a little bit better. And, you know, a lot of it is just verbiage and word choice of how we direct a child and explain to them why something is not okay or whatever the reason is.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
I was going to piggyback on what she was saying, that, you know, a lot of adult direction can kind of throw off the child's play. The way I like to look at it is I am a prop to the child's playtime. You know, and the whole, you know, trying to tell a child no, I like, the best way I've learned to stop saying stop and no is we try to rephrase it into a question. So instead of telling a child, you know, stop running, it would be like, you know, something along the lines of, you know, should we be running in the classroom? Well, they know the answer and they usually stop. Or one of my go-tos is that they like to sit on tables. It'd be like, is that a table or a chair? Or is that a chair or a table? Kind of a thing. But yeah, I think a lot of adult directions telling the child how to do something or when to do something during play kind of lacks for, you know, their imagination.
Sure, and, you know, I think also that, you know, when you are, say, engaged in play with the child, is, you know, following that child's lead and, you know, instead of saying that if they think, you know, green is orange or orange is green, saying, oh, you know, instead of saying, no, that's the wrong thing, but expanding on it and being like, oh, you think that's green? What else do you think is green? Or, you know, even if you know the answer is wrong, I think that just gives them, innovation and makes them think a little bit critically. And, you know, even if it is wrong, there does come a point in time where you can correct them, but I think it has to be really careful of how you do it and how you say it.
Well, that also kind of a self-esteem thing too. When you're trying, you know, if you tell a child they're wrong, they're gonna instantly, you know, kind of shut down, and it doesn't feel good when you're told you're wrong.
Nope, it sure doesn't.
Center that I currently work at, we're like not allowed to say no. Like we can say, hey, do you think that's a good choice? And then wait for their response. Like, oh, I think this is a better choice. Or if they're like answering questions and answering them incorrectly, we'll be like, well, I think it's this color. Let's see how many friends have on this color.
Yes. That's great that your center does that.
I think it's also important to not only watch what we're saying with our children that we work with, and even our children at home, with switching stop and no with some kinds of questions, but to also give them options. So if what they're doing is something that could be that's nonviolent, obviously, where you would say, no, that's not safe, you could also give them options to say, hey, let's share that toy, or we can trade that toy, or let's switch to a different toy, to give kids different options so that they can, you know, keep playing in the atmosphere that they're in, but also not have to, how do you word it? So they don't have to be in an environment where they're going to continue what they're doing. Which is negative. Right.
Sure. That does make sense, Catherine. Any other thoughts?
Another one I think is forcing a child to do something. Because I've noticed whenever you're like, okay guys, we're going to play in centers, and you know their faces light up and stuff, and then you put them in a center that they don't want to be in, and then they just kind of like walk around and just kind of sit there, and they're not very into playing in that center.
Yes. Yeah, I think that giving those choices to the kids, you know, and it's all about finding what their interests are prior to them being enrolled in the classroom, knowing that, you know, maybe Johnny and Susie likes dramatic play. You know, not all the children could be in dramatic play, but maybe they also have something else that they like. You know, just really observing and gathering all that information prior to them being in the classroom, and helps effectively lesson plan for each individual child too as well.
I'm sort of going on the center theme. I know some places they sort of force children to rotate centers or to keep toys in certain centers. And I think that sort of shuts down their play as well, because like rotating centers, they might be really into building, but how much can you build in, you know, 10 minutes? Then you have to tear it all down again. So I think some kids think, why even bother, you know, building something new if I have to tear it down? Or they can't take the babies into the library center because babies don't belong there. So it sort of makes it so why even bother playing with something if I just have to play right here in this little square. So yeah, it's sort of, again, like just been told no by adults seems to be the theme.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I remember when I was, a lot of times when I'm in the classroom, children, whenever they are like doing dramatic play or dress up, they will go to the library and they will pretend to be the mommy of the baby going to the library. So they're mimicking basically how their world is with what they see at home or on TV or wherever it may be. And I do think that it's really important that we don't just limit them to one center, but, you know, trying to create boundaries that limit children not to just do whatever they want. That's kind of it's kind of one of the hardest things to do as a teacher, because you want them to learn, but yet you also want them to know boundaries and rules too. So it does become a little tricky.
Yeah, you kind of have to make a judgment call, like, is Susie actually playing, or is she just wandering around the room? But I found, like, boys that don't want to play with babies, if you let them bring blocks in, they can build something for the baby, and now they're playing. Or, like, girls who don't want to play with the trucks, but if you let them, you know, play house, they pretend they're driving the truck. And so it sort of helps bring like different interests into a child that maybe doesn't know that they like something, and then everyone sort of gets a turn. But yeah, it can turn into chaos pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that one of the hardest things as a teacher is to, like you said, when you make that, you have to make that judgment call of what, what's acceptable in your classroom and what isn't, and what you think is, if the child's really interested or not. So yeah, it's always discretion of the teacher usually. Well, it was good discussion. Does anybody else have anything to add to the importance of play? If you are viewing this online, the question is not actually up, but it is, what factors would make play less enjoyable? And then the other question I wanted to ask, I kind of jumped forward earlier, but it's not here. It's kind of the same thing. The implementation of Module 3. The next question would be, what factors might restrict play? So when play becomes restrictive, and when children are directed to specific interests, like we said, and they're rotated on a time schedule, or when material and toys must be in one interest area, like we already discussed, it could make play really less enjoyable. Can also be constricted when there's a rigid daily schedule too. Many transitions between activities in a short amount of time for free play can have, might not be a good thing for a child. And children should have the opportunity to play for more than 45 minutes a day in the classroom alone, not just outside, but in interest centers and so forth. And then children should do the majority of the talking in the classroom, and you should always just be asking questions, usually to foster their learning. So yeah, kind of goes hand in hand. By the way, that was my daughter at the Children's Museum probably 2 years ago. She actually has curly hair, still has glasses, by the way. So yeah. Anyways, you guys have anything else to add of what factors might restrict play? All right, and then the last thing I really wanted to, the last question I wanted to ask is, we talked about Module 3. How would you implement what you have learned in your classroom? And then think about the types of play and how you can implement what you have learned from Module 3. So yeah, I'd like you guys just to share a little bit about what you guys learned from Module 3, and then how you would implement that in the classroom. And you probably are already doing it, I'm guessing, but yeah, I'll open it up again for more dialogue.
What I took from Module 3 was keeping the kids in the same center and not letting them bring toys in the other center. My main teacher recently quit on us, and so I took over the room for 2 weeks until they could get a new teacher in, and I started allowing the children to take toys to different centers, and it made the day go by a lot better. They were more involved. There was less behaviorals in the classroom, and the kids were just a lot more happier.
That's great to hear, Natasha, that the children are a lot more happier and that they have that freedom to go around to any center pretty much that they want and to take different toys. That's awesome.
Our kids pick their centers like each day. We select like a boy helper and a girl helper, and then we go over like our theme of the day, and then what centers would relate to that. And then like it's like a group thing, like okay, table 1 is gonna be this, and table 2 is gonna be this. But we rotate on 20 minutes, so they get a little bit longer, and then we do feedback at the end.
Nice. Do you think 20 minutes is long enough?
Yes, and sometimes no. Like when we do like STEM activities, I feel like 20 minutes isn't long enough.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm sure sometimes 20 minutes is way too long, depending on the day. Anybody else?
I recently started at a new center about 2 months ago, and one thing I really like that this center does is they don't rush you through your schedule. Posted schedule for each classroom, but we're encouraged to really follow what the children want to do. If they're really rowdy and have a lot of energy or doing a lot of physical things, we're encouraged to keep them outside, even if it's not technically our recess time. Or if you're really involved in an activity inside, we're encouraged to bring it outside with us. Or we can just adjust the schedule as needed, which the center I worked at previously, we had a pretty rigid schedule. And you would see a lot of behavior issues, especially or unit time, because no one wanted to leave what they were doing. So I really like what the center I'm at now does, and that was a big part of sort of the shifting phase 2 for Module 3, is just having that really flexible schedule and letting the kids lead what activities they want to do that day. And if we don't get to something, then we can always leave it in the next day if we need to. So that freedom is really nice. There's a lot fewer behavior issues I've noticed as well because the kids aren't being forced to do something. I mean, they have to have some rules, obviously, but they're not being forced to put all of their things away and go do something new that they just don't want to do. So.
Sure. That's awesome that it's child-led rather than teacher-led. That does makes the day go by a little faster when the teachers are having fun instead of putting out a bunch of problems and fires.
I mean, strangely enough, less direction, it seems like they behave better because it's not a power struggle all the time. So yeah, I really like the center I work at does that.
Nice, yeah. At least you're not putting out fires every single time.
So I'll go next.
Yep, go ahead.
So what I think I've been using is with one of our students. She's 5. She's getting ready for kindergarten this fall. But for a very long time, ever since I've been here, which is the past 3 years, she's had a lot of behavior issues. And I think because she's been here since she was a baby, everyone's always been working with them and trying new approaches. And I've just been trying some of these approaches where I let her lead me to what interests her. And it's more like I am spending one-on-one time just taking care of her. If I don't know, but I'll involve other children, but I have to be there because she does have a tendency of pinching her friends quietly or doing something else to them that is very sneaky and no one can notice. So instead of saying, where I was finding for a while, the children were all using her name and saying, oh, she did it, even if she hadn't done something, because it became such a norm for them to use her name when I walked into that classroom. So now, it's not actually my classroom, but because I go from classroom to classroom, doing things or coordinating with the teachers, I tend to spend more time with her. If I have free time, I make sure I'm there. And I found that me giving her that positive reinforcement or keeping her engaged and giving her new ideas of doing things has brought a significant change in her behavior. And the other teachers have also noticed that.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Shamila.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. Anyone else? So if you are viewing this online, please make sure that you answer in paragraph form what factors would make play less enjoyable and what factors might restrict play, and share what has impacted your learning most from Module 3. I know that's kind of a lot of questions, but I just want to make sure that we're fair to everyone who is answering all these questions, especially the people that are here online. So yeah, thanks everyone. I'm going to continue on to the next and last, I believe, thing of the night. It is reflection and critical thinking questions from Chapter 7. So in Chapter 7, you were learning about establishing effective environments for young children. With that in mind and thinking about your own teaching practices, let's talk about question number 1. Reflection questions from Chapter 7. So thinking about and discuss ways learning environments affect children's behavior, relationship with peers, and academic performance. And what do you see as the most important element in the environment and why? For me, as an educator, I don't think that there is a right answer to this question, but I do believe the teacher is the one who needs to bring in the child's home and culture into the classroom, so transitions are smoother. And then, like I said before, making sure that you know their interests. So, you know, going back to the culture, for example, you know, asking the family to bring in photos of their child, which I'm sure a lot of you guys probably already do, at home, doing things that they would typically do with their parents or another trusted adult in their lives, and just posting pictures, usually at eye level, to help children acclimate to the learning environment is also really important. You know, I just think that all these three things kind of go hand in hand. I think, honestly, for me, if you have a good relationship with, the child's behavior will be a lot better, which will also improve academic performance. So it kind of goes hand in hand with all three of them. But the question, if you are viewing this online too, it is, what do you see as the most important element in the environment and why? Having said that, now I would like to hear from you guys. Just what's your thoughts on that?
I would agree with you that that everything goes hand in hand with the children's behavior and their relationship and their academic performance. But I do think that an important thing to help along any of these is just making sure that you learn as much as you can about your students, from what they like and what they don't like, and then that goes all the way down to even what they like or what they don't like for food, or where they like to play most, or who their friends are, and then bring in that, you know, some part of their background, if they celebrate certain holidays, if they, you know, have pets at home, you know, all of that stuff's going to help a child's behavior, because they're going to trust you more. You know, they can open up and build on their relationships with their peers, and, you know, their academic performance will be better for the sake of that.
Yes, I completely agree. If a child's not emotionally and physically safe, they can't really learn anything. And getting to know the child through observation and just establishing that relationship is huge. When that stuff is set, then yeah, academic performance will flourish.
I guess I'll go next. I definitely think getting to know kids is huge. I think for me the biggest takeaway was sort of that hierarchy of needs. Making sure that first, of course, they have their physical needs, that they feel safe, that they have food, they have access to water. If kids are constantly distracted because they're hungry or they're tired or they don't know what's going on and they don't feel safe, or maybe the environment itself isn't physically safe. Maybe there's a lot of loud noises, or maybe toys well taken care of, or the playground's not safe, they can't use parts of it. They won't be able to focus on, you know, their social interactions and learning because they're just going to be worried all the time. I think that goes into what you guys were saying too about sort of bringing in personal or like home elements that they just feel safe because they are so little and everything is so new to them. So I guess that would be my biggest thing, is just making them feel safe.
Yeah, I mean, and that could look in a billion different ways, you know, from being physically to emotionally safe. You know, favorite stuffed animal bringing to school or whatever it is. We just really need to really be mindful of that for us as being educators. So yeah, thanks for sharing.
I was gonna say, other than some of the other stuff that's been said, building a relationship with the children, but also making sure that, you know, everything is developmentally appropriate. You know, we're making sure that our physical environment, that the children, you know, are able to sit in the chairs that they are provided. They can reach to their cubbies, or their, you know, so things are children sized, and the way that we talk to the children. You know, I mean, I would talk to my preschoolers a bit differently than I would talk to maybe, you know, someone who was in second or first grade. It's other than, you know, obvious, you know, building a really personal relationship with the children. I think making sure everything is developmentally appropriate is also a big key factor.
Yes, you're right. If you have stuff that, like a chair or something that is too little or too big, and they can end up getting hurt on it, or yeah, I completely agree with you, Megan.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I think a teacher plays a big role in everything, between the children's behavior and relationships with peers and academic performance. I think that all falls upon the teacher and how she's guiding them and how she's letting them open up and explore and develop instead of stopping them in their day. They spend most of their time with us. And I found even with my own child growing up that when she had certain teachers, they made a big impact in her life and helped her develop into a strong human being.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Shamila.
I think that all of them go hand in hand also, but the biggest one that I relate to are the relationships between teachers and the children and the parents, and seeing how the parents interact with their children. And because I babysit for some of mine, and being able to be in their home environment too has like really opened my eyes on how like mom and dad's talk to them and stuff, and I kind of incorporate that into the classroom too, because we have a sensory kid. And, you know, if you tell him something across the room, he's just going to laugh at you. But if you go to him, get down, like eye contact, and like really explain it to him, then he's more like comfortable in doing what you asked him to do and everything like that. So I just think really getting to know how the parents treat the children too is a big factor that helps a lot.
Yeah, you hit something really key there, Natasha, on the home life of the parents, really getting to know that your parents and how they use, I wouldn't say discipline, but just different things that they do, because you know they are the first teacher. The parents are the child's first teacher, and you know they might be in our care for 12 hours sometimes each day, but you know in all reality they are you know they are a customer to us, I guess. And we just got to make sure that we meet the needs of the parents too, and making sure that they have goals that are set out for them, for the children, and a shared goal that could be with the teacher. But getting that information from the parents is, yeah, that's really key. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? All right, seeing that there's no other questions or answers, I'm going to continue on. For the sake of time, everyone, we will not go over this. It says if you were asked to design a one-room child care center or EC classroom, what would be the most important influences on your decision-making as presented in Chapter 7? You may choose from philosophical positions and or of the practical ideas. You will not need to answer this. We will not need to go. We won't go over this because of the sake of time. Nurturing relationships. And we'll talk about this more about the live session, the next live session. What are some ways you can positively nurture relationships with young child and their families? This is a website that I would like for you guys to look at. So, you know, it says, how will you get to know them before entering your classroom? I know for me, with nurturing relationships, for my Head Start teachers, we have 2 mandatory home visits that they need to do with the parent to get to know the child, parents' goals for the child, and the family's culture, so they can bring in that info and make it conducive for the children in their care. And then we talked a little bit about it. I know what Natasha did. What are some ways you can positively nurture relationships with young children and their families, and what strategies do you use? For the sake of time, you guys don't need to answer this, but if you are watching this online, just have that in your mindset of like, what can you be doing to positively nurture relationships with young children and their families, and what strategies do you use? We don't have to answer it just because of the sake of time, but this is a good website of a TED Talk video of you guys could view whenever you guys have a chance to do so. I'm going to leave with that for tonight. Now I have questions and answers. Feel free to ask any questions about the information presented in this session, or any question about the explorations course, expectations in general. If you guys have any questions, you know, if you don't have any questions, and you have questions during the week about an assignment, feel reach out to me. I'm a little bit quicker at texting than email. I try to get back to you within 24 hours, sometimes even right away if I see my phone. I do have a full-time job, so I do sometimes can't look at my phone because I'm in meetings and stuff, but I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. If you don't have any, if you do come upon any questions. So yeah, that leaves the end of it. I'll just open it up to you guys. If you guys don't have any questions, all you need to do is type your name at the bottom, and we will see you next week. But if you do have questions, go ahead and you could ask them right now too. So however you guys want to do it. Have a good night, everyone.